John Barry with Chimney Check Professionals. This is the video portion of my inspection for the living room fireplace system. This is a reinforced masonry structure. Based on what I could see outside, this is a 2-brick thick structure. And I believe there used to be, actually I believe there probably still is, an original mortar coating below this new surface. This is not something I know, this is just guesswork. I can't tell because we have a coating. This particular coating is of an unknown material. I can make a few guesses. I believe that this spray-on coating is a smoke-tight material. I don't know that. This is what I believe based on the pattern that I see. It is possible that it is a thermocrete material. So this is something where what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to put this video online, unless I'm told not to. It'll be anonymous, and I will communicate with the owner of this product or who makes this product and ask him to look over this video and tell me what he thinks it is. And then I can determine if it's the correct product. The reason for that is if it's smoke tight, it doesn't belong in the flue area. If it's thermocrete, I believe it was installed improperly, meaning it's supposed to be done in layers. And this looks to be just one single layer. And as we get down the system and we follow it down, we're going to see areas where we can see the black soot below the actual coating that was placed here. And we can see inconsistency to it. Now, keep in mind, actually you can look here, it doesn't look like it was prepped correctly. There's a cleaning that's supposed to be done for the system to really adhere. And we can also tell that it really wasn't a proper coating everywhere because we can see through the surfaces. Is this a big deal? I don't think so. If this is a thermocrete product, well then we could just get the company that did this to come back and spray it again. That would be appropriate, and depending on the company, they would probably be willing to do that. I don't know that. It's obviously guesswork on my part that they would be willing to. If it's a smoke-tight product, then it's just not supposed to be here in the first place. Smoke-tight is approved for what we call smoke chambers. Smoke chamber is the transition from the fireplace to the actual flue. Now, on a masonry structure like this, and with their shape, it's kind of, there's no definitive line necessarily where the smoke chamber begins and the flue ends, but basically we're certainly in what would be the flue area. Now, it's possible that if I had done an inspection before this material was placed here, I might have not even recommended an actual repair. I have no idea. Based on the thickness of the masonry, and if the mortar was fairly intact, I probably would have just said to clean it. 8 inches of masonry is what we are required to have. If we have a 2-brick thick structure and it's intact and there aren't gaps between the masonry, then I wouldn't be calling for a repair. So again, without having a previous video, without having more information, I have no way of telling you whether or not this repair was actually needed. You can see the inconsistency of it as well here. So we are certainly looking, if we are going to do a fire safety repair, there is an appropriate manner to do it. This certainly isn't one of them where I would be jumping up and down about what we've done and what we see here, but there certainly are a few unknowns. It's always good to get to the bottom of it. Well, it would be great to see the paperwork on this repair. That way we know exactly, that we know who did it, and we also know what they contracted to do. So you can see some inconsistency here where the gaps weren't fully sealed. Part of the system, whether it's smoke tight or thermocrete, we're going to see a complete seal everywhere, and all gaps and voids would be somewhat filled. So we certainly didn't achieve that as desired. Now, this particular fireplace is actually fairly large. It's actually larger than one would expect for the actual size of the flue. Now, of course, I'm not crazy enough to start recommending removal of the chimney just because our chimney flue is too small, quote, for the fireplace. But certainly, when you start looking at some smoke staining patterns here, you can tell the system has not drafted correctly in the past. So one should be prepared for maybe a little bit of a smoke pipe, lower the opening. Sometimes that will be all that you need, is just lower it, and that will create a better draft. We do have a vertical crack along the back wall. I do not personally believe that this is justification for removal and replacement of the back wall, but certainly it's always good to seal this area. When we look at the fact that behind this is basically your structural brick and its exterior, well, I certainly wouldn't make such a big deal. If this was an interior fireplace, I might talk about reconstruction of the firebox back wall. We have a top end damper, basically you pull down the handle, and you let it up and all the way up. In theory, this will be open. It seems to be working fine. We have a wall glider here. I believe I turned it on, but I'll make sure, and the gas does come out of it. Now keep in mind, I am not the gas company. I am not here to check for gas leaks. I turned the gas on, gas came out, I turned it off. That's the extent of my inspection as far as gas goes. We should have a screen over the opening. We do not have a screen. That's relatively easy to do. Well, actually, in this case, it might not be so easy because you need a big one. In short, you review my written report for all my findings and recommendations.